I was having some technical problems. I don't know what caused it, but as I said, if you're doing live, whether it's live radio, television, live streaming, things, you got to be very careful because things happen. I know, you know it. I know it from experience, and many of you know it. So, but uh, we are not deterred because of some problem. Uh, if that was the case, we would have quit a long time ago. I want to read this one verse again. Uh, 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. I pray that God will add his blessings to the reading of his holy word. This little picture in the background, and we are using different members of the family. We got a lot of different, we got virtual backgrounds and churches, but this is a picture of myself. Some of my uncles bought me this uniform. I think I was about 3 years of age, and that must have been, it was while World War II was going on. Of course, I was just a child, and I don't remember anything much about it. We heard about it. Somebody got killed or this or that, but there's been wars and rumors of wars, and Satan is fighting against the church. And it's sad that we, down through history, the church has been revived, and then it needs revived. I said earlier that I'm going to be using some things from a book by Vance Havner, who was one of the greatest preachers, and he just had a way of saying things that brought it home. We're talking about revival and the church. Certainly, our churches are dying. Many of them have went out of business. I locked the doors, and I'm not here to paint a dark picture. You know about it. If you've not been in a cave somewhere, you know that, especially since COVID, church membership or attendance has fallen way off, but that's why we started this virtual church. Go to church if you're physically able to go to church. Yes, get involved with the church and go there and worship and be a part of it and pay the tithe according to what the Bible says. But there are reasons. I'm going to give you hindrances to revival, and this is from Vance Havner. He's dead now and in heaven, and I certainly agree with what he said. He said revival under the heading of revival hindrances. He said there is no greater hindrance to revival than a comfortable pastor, settled and satisfied, coasting along until he reaches retirement, who does not want his flock disturbed or the status quo upset. He has long since lost his burden and concern for a mighty upheaval of God among the resters at ease in Zion. Yes, we know this, we see it. It's a shame, and it's contributing to the lack of growth in churches, and many churches, I'm talking about Baptist churches. We are a conservative Southern Baptist church. I pastored 8 churches since 1967. All of them were Southern Baptist churches. So I think I have a right to speak out about Southern Baptist churches. There are Southern Baptist churches, Independent Baptists, and a lot of different Free Will Baptists, and a lot of different things. I am a Southern Baptist, and so I know about it. And even back in 1993, my wife and I went to West Virginia. I was serving as a pastor, but I was also serving and was approved through the Home Mission Board to try to get churches in West Virginia that had built a church, had a congregation, then they just quit coming. And beautiful churches, padlocked, and God blessed in this work. Like I say, I was pastoring churches and also had been approved by the Home Mission Board, and we were able to get churches opened back up. And one that I'm very familiar with was opened back up in 1995 or 96, one of those years, and it's still going and still growing. But there are churches that have went out of business. I know of churches that have closed up, that when I was a young preacher, young pastor, those churches had a lot of, they were considered bigger churches, 400, 500 people in Sunday school basically every Sunday, and some of them actually just died and people quit coming. One of the problems, one of the hindrances to this is just what I read that Dr. Vance Havner had to say. A pastor who, and I will share a personal experience. To me, you can read experiences, but if you've had a personal experience, it's nothing better than an actual personal experience, and I want to share it with you. Up in West Virginia, a pastor who I knew, he pastored the largest church in our association, and he told me, he said, "Fred, here is my plan." He said, every sermon that I've ever prepared, I have it. I have all the notes, all the outlines. He said, I don't ever have to read the Bible again, which he should have immediately resigned and got a job working on well, I wouldn't want him working on my car, but he should have resigned and got a job picking cotton or something. He might have fit in better than that, into that, than he would trying to pastor a church. But he said, here is my plan. I want to pastor a small church, and we'll draw up a contract between me and the church, and you get 20 hours of my time. After 20 hours, don't call me. And he said, we'll have this drawn up. And if my 20 hours for that week are up, I don't care if 5 people have died or in the hospital. Don't call me. That's my time. And he said, I use that to play golf. Well, the last I heard of him, he had went to another state on up, and he was pastoring a church that was in the Northern Baptist Convention. I don't know much about them, except I was told they were more liberal than the Southern Baptists. I don't know. I couldn't. All I know is I had this personal experience with this man, which was so disgusting. You know, he should have never. If you can quit preaching, you should have never started. God didn't call you. And so there has to be a revival in the pulpit. There has to be a revival amongst the pastors who has a passion and a desire. It's so overwhelming. God, give me revival or kill me. There was I can't remember his name, but he was in I think in England somewhere many years ago, maybe in the 1800s. Lord, no, it might have been Scotland. Lord, give me Scotland or I'll die. And he's talking about a revival. Lord, give me Scotland or I will die. He had that passion for and drive for a revival. Give us a revival. We need a revival in the pulpit. Many pastors, and again, I speak from experience. We would go on retreats. I don't know. I can't remember now. Anyhow, it was either sponsored by the association or the state convention, or I think it was one of those two. And go to a nice retreat and a nice hotel, a motel, and different things that you could do. And we had to have 2 or 3 hours every day of something to make it make it legal for the IRS. But I would hear these, and certainly not all of them, not by any means, but if you sit around and listen, I remember hearing this from 2 or 3 different pastors, and they say, well, I don't know about you, but I preach evangelistic maybe once every 6 weeks. In other words, I preach the gospel, what they consider the gospel, and I may or I may not give an invitation once every 6 weeks, but certainly not any more than that. Well, why preach the gospel if you don't? And you're telling people, hey, you're on your way to hell, based on what you told me. You've never asked Jesus to come into your life. You've never asked Jesus to save you. But I'm going to tell you the way, and then that's up to you. I'm not going to give an invitation. We must have a revival in the pulpit. He said in 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verse 14, if my people, excuse me, which are called by my name, that's Christians, shall humble themselves. You talk about, in the Old Testament especially, we read about when people, prophets and preachers, and they were so upset about what was going on that they would rend their garments or tear their garments and get down humble before God. Oh God, restore unto us. Restore us again. If you'll visit our church site, BrighterDayBaptistChurch.com, and we have a new site, and thank God for it, a new church, BrighterDayBaptistChurch.org, and God is really blessing. Many. I know that first 6 weeks we had over 1 million visitors, and they used, I forget, seemed like 60 some gigabytes of data. So we know they're there. That we know they're visiting. But there is a right on the front page, you'll see a big flag, American flag, and right underneath it, you'll see a family group. The name of the group is the Steels, Steels, the Steels, and the song "We Want America Back." I want you to listen to that and pray about revival. So God bless you, and we will talk to you next time.